in Skip's eyes, Tom Brady is beyond criticism. You can't say nothing about Tom Brady negative. Nothing about Tom Brady negative. Just like Michael Jordan, you can't say nothing about Michael Jordan negative. Michael Jordan has some character flaws in his life. He's had some losses in his life, but it's never Michael Jordan's fault. And it's never, and in this case, it's never Tom Brady's fault.
You do put in those hours to make sure that you're prepared for the game on Sundays. But Tom Brady does not put in more hours watching the film in no regard than the coaches. So, Undisputed, Monday or Tuesday, one of the two. Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, Monday, yeah. Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless are talking or having a discussion about Tom Brady and the performance that he had against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. Shannon's talking about how terrible his performance has been this year, and especially in the game against the 49ers. And Skip Bayless took that to heart and took the challenge on and defended Tom Brady tooth and nail, even throwing a personal shot at Shannon Sharpe, saying that he was a hater. He was upset because Tom Brady is still playing at 45 and Shannon had to stop playing at 35. This isn't anything new from Skip Bayless. He seems to take personal shots in the majority of individuals that he discusses or takes or debates about. But it's the first time he's done it against one of his co-hosts. So my question to you, Sticks, is how you feeling or how you feeling about Skip, and what are your thoughts on his personal attack to his co-host?
So it was funny because Shannon wanted to go across that table on my boy. Shannon wanted to go, Uncle Shay Shay, as he calls himself. He wanted to go across that table and beat Skip behind on national TV, but he couldn't do that. He can't do that. But the question that was raised to Skip and Shannon was, how much of the blame do you give Tom Brady for the 35-7 loss to the 49ers on Sunday? And Shannon said, I give Tom 100% of the blame. And honestly, I think he did it to get a rise out of Skip, low key, because he knows from 6 years of being on the show with Skip, he knows how much he loves Tom Brady. And he knows that for the content and for the show, it was going to be a good debate in that sense. So I think he did it to get a rise out of Skip. But things started to get a little heated whenever Shannon was pointing out all the problems in the game. And, he was asking, well, how much credit do you get to cornerbacks? How much credit do you get to coaches? How much, you don't never talk about the cornerbacks getting roasted. You don't never talk about the coaches and the play calls that they making this, that, and the third. And Skip doesn't answer none of those questions. But of course, Skip gave Tom 100% of the credit. He gives him 100% of the credit whenever they win, but zero and no blame whenever they lose. So, in the midst of Shannon calling Tom out, and Skip was saying some things about Tom that he was admitting that he had some bad throws and made some bad decisions, but for the most part, he defends Tom Brady and doesn't like the fact that Shannon is so-called hating, as DeLon said, on Tom Brady. So, like I said, to begin it, I think Shannon was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna give him 100% because I know Skip gonna take this and run with it. He's gonna get mad because I'm calling his boy Tom out." Tom Word Patrick Brady Jr. That's what he called him. But I think he did it to get a rise. What you think?
I mean, 100% he did it to get a rise. But it's like they go back and forth tit for tat for the people that they like. So we all know that Unc loves LeBron. We like LeBron, right?
Yeah.
And so anytime LeBron has a good game, but the Lakers lose, and Skip gonna say LeBron's 100% to blame for the Lakers loss because he didn't score 12 points in the fourth quarter or 4 points in the fourth quarter, or he missed 2 crucial free throws with 3 minutes left in the game. You know how Skip do. And so it definitely was a shot. It was like a little stab at Skip to get a rise. But I mean, I can understand talking about the performance of Tom Brady and keeping it there, but to take the personal attack at Shannon Sharpe, because
exactly
in this case he was right. Tom Brady has not played that well this year. We mentioned that in a couple episodes back. He hasn't played good this year. So Shannon was right to say the things that he said. I don't think Skip was right. He went too far when he talked.
He
He
went too
said
far.
he was way better than you. And when Shannon said, "You act like I'm a bum, I'm in the effing Hall of Fame," he said, "Who cares? Like, are you serious, Skip Bayless?
Like, come on,
Like,
Skip. Come on,
yeah,
Skip.
like, come on, bro. You doing too much right now." I mean, we know that Skip has made a career out of doing this against to athletes for over a
Mm-hmm.
decade now, more longer than that, probably like 20 years. When did Cold Pieces start? 2002, 2003?
A long time ago. I think it started when we first got to college, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been doing this for the longest. We know he defends Michael Jordan tooth and
Mm-hmm.
nail.
Tooth and nail.
Obviously, he defends Tom Brady, as we've seen, tooth and nail,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Mm-hmm.
defends Baker Mayfield, which I don't
Which I don't
understand that
understand that
whatsoever.
either, bro. Holy moly.
But the opposite. But what he did to Shannon is what he does to athletes. So,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, he's called Chris Bosh
Mm-hmm.
Spice.
Spice. Yeah.
He's named Russell
Westbrook.
Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a few examples of what he's done. And these players don't like this, but he continues to do it because he knows he can get away with it. He knows
Mm-hmm.
that for the most part, we live in a new age where everything is talked about on social media. So if a player was to step to him about that and knock his ass out, then it would be all over the internet. Whereas back in
Mm-hmm.
the day, I have not had the pleasure. I don't even know if I should say the pleasure, but I have not read of any of Wow, Skip's articles from back in the day. But I'm sure he was not this bold back in the day because
I'm pretty sure he
Charles
wasn't.
Barkley, any of them players would have stepped to him. Shaq stepped to him and knocked his ass out.
Would have bopped him.
You know
Would
what I
have
mean?
smooth
So,
bopped him. But it's crazy because they were down in that game 28-0 at halftime, and
mhm,
of course Shannon going off and talking about how he had some bad throws and some bad reads, and he bringing up videos, he bringing up replays on the screen and on the show, and talking about what was this, and is this Byron Leftwich's fault? No, and he ain't throw the ball, and what kind of throw was this, and what kind of call was
mhm,
this? Is this the defense fault? No, because they're not on the field right now. You know what I'm saying? So they were going back, but of course it's 28-0 at halftime, and of course Skip Bayless has all supreme confidence in Tom Brady that he can come back from 28-0 because he's done it a couple of times. So of course Skip
right,
says, Tom is the comeback king of all time, which is true, because he is the GOAT QB of all time, in my opinion, and a lot
mhm.
of people's opinion. I don't know, I think D-Lo thinks the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah. I
only
agree
thing
with
that I
that.
don't like about Skip is that in Skip's eyes, Tom Brady is beyond criticism. You can't say nothing about Tom Brady negative.
Just
Nothing
like
about
Michael
Tom Brady
Jordan.
negative. Just like Michael Jordan, you can't say nothing about Michael Jordan negative. Michael Jordan has some character flaws in his life. He's had some losses in his life, but
Mhm,
it's never Michael Jordan's fault. Never Michael Jordan's fault.
mhm,
And in this case, it's never Tom Brady's fault. But it was one thing that I saw in that video that was alarming to me was the quote that Shannon brought up on the screen that Mike Silver, the Bally sports reporter, brought up. How,
mhm.
and it's a long quote, so bear with me, people. But the quote
We'll put it up
says
for
that,
those that are watching.
yes, the quote says the level of responsibility that Brady imposed upon himself has always been massive, and this year he's taxed to the max. For example, on the night before each game, Brady runs a separate meeting with the Bucks skill players, which means receivers, running backs, tight ends, for those who don't know, during which
Mhm,
he goes over game plan, makes tweaks to the assignments and the formations, and provides a blueprint. One which first year head coach Todd Bowles and offense coordinator Byron Leftwich and the rest of the staff are left to discover in real time once the game begins. To me, that's crazy.
that's wild.
You know, that's wild, bro. Like, you bring your skill players together and make tweaks and don't tell your OC. The man
Right.
who is, in Shannon Sharpe's words, the man who was working 80 to 100 hours throughout the week to watch film and put a game plan together and put a script together and put all these plays together for you to go out there and execute. But you're taking that same game plan and taking a red pen to it and marking things
Mhm.
off your own, like putting things in like you were advanced English teacher or something.
Oh,
You know
wow.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I had to throw
Yeah.
that in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like you're an advanced English teacher taking a red pen to the report, and now you marking things out you don't like and adding things in, and you telling your skill players, and you're not telling them. They got to find out at kickoff. That's crazy to me.
That's
That is
crazy. That's
crazy.
That is wild. And for Skip to say that he believes Tom Brady watches more film than the football coaches of the
I was
Tampa
about
Bay
to say that.
Buccaneers is wild too. I mean, okay, yeah, we know that NFL players put in way more hours than college players. College players put in way more hours than high school players, so on and so forth. It's just the natural
Mm-hmm.
progression of the sport and of being a professional. You do put in those hours to make sure that you're prepared for the game on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Brady does not put in more hours watching film in no regard than the coaches,
Than the
because
coaches.
if that was the case, he would be in all coaches meetings when they're watching film, breaking down film, making a game plan. I mean, that's just
Mm-hmm.
too much to do. And like the reporter said, you said his name was Silver.
Mike Silver.
Mike Silver. So, like he
Mm-hmm.
said, Tom Brady is taxed to the max. And if he was doing that, he'd be taxed to the max times 100, because that means he has not only watched the film with the coaches for the amount of time that they've watched film, he also has to recuperate and get his body ready to play on Sundays. He has to practice on every day or whenever he does. And then he also has to go home with his family. He's not doing that, man. So Skip needs to. He was wrong for even suggesting that, because we are also talking about coaches. I was a part of the coaching profession briefly at the
Mm-hmm.
college level. We're talking about coaches. That's their job. So just like Tom Brady, his job is to prepare for the game, know what the game plan is that the coaches pass down. The coaches are going to put themselves, hopefully, putting themselves and their players in the right positions to make the plays to win the games. And so for you to say that the coaches aren't doing more than a player, that's very disrespectful.
Very, very disrespectful. And that's what the next quote from Shannon says. I'm not gonna let you be disrespectful to these damn coaches because you love Tom Brady. And he turned to the
You know
camera
what I
and
mean?
said, America, that's a flat out lie. And Skip said Tom watches more tape than the coaches. But then Skip
100%.
Skip comes back and tries and starts to argue that Tom has been playing bad. That Skip comes back and says, that Shannon can't stand that Tom is playing the game at a high level at 45, and says that for 6 straight years since the show's inception, he's been trying to send Tom Brady home, saying that Tom Brady's washed up and his arm is on decline. He can't do it no more. He need to go ahead and retire. And it's like, people, not only Shannon has been saying that, but I'm sure I've been saying it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
Hmm.
people in the media have been saying it. Just regular, normal, everyday Joe Schmo been saying it, that Tom Brady, when is he going to retire? He looking bad out there. He only do dump passes because he can't throw the ball downfield. I said that before. So, like,
Hmm.
it's not just Shannon. The world has been saying it for him for the past 6 years, to be honest.
I mean,
You
it's
know what
just
I'm
it's a parallel with Tom Brady and LeBron James. Longevity is the name of the game for these two, and Father Tom is undefeated. It just seems right now that he can't quite catch up to LeBron and Tom Brady, and so yeah, it's natural for Shannon to say at some point
saying?
Tom Brady has to call it quits. We said that shit to 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when we were talking about him and Giselle's divorce and her not
Mm-hmm.
expecting him to play football this long. I mean, we're talking
Right.
about professional football. It's a very physical game. Somebody's playing the sport at 45 years old. That's unheard of.
It is
And
very
I
much
mean,
unheard of.
he is playing quarterback, and the quarterback is protected right now. But to still be playing is unheard of. Same thing with LeBron. So if Shannon has been claiming that it's time for Tom Brady to leave the sport, or calling him to leave, Skip has been doing the same thing for LeBron for the last 6 years as well. It's time for him to leave. Father Time is starting to catch up with him. So, and I again, we will find some way to bring LeBron into the podcast at some point in
Every
time.
time, boy,
But
every
every time,
time.
but I mean, it's the truth. They both have that one person that they fight for, and
Mm-hmm.
for Skip is Tom Brady. For Shannon is
LeBron James.
LeBron James. And for whatever reason, they don't really get into these type of tits with LeBron. I mean, they do have arguments, but it's not this massive. Both with Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield, they go back and forth.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy you say that. And the reason why they don't get into these kind of tizzies, they use that word, they don't get
Yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
this big of an argument because that Shannon would never disrespect Skip on live TV like that.
Exactly.
Shannon would never do that to Skip Bayless. You know what I'm saying? But Skip
Exactly.
Bayless, that motherfucker don't care because like he said, he know ain't nothing gonna happen to him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And because is this just like D'Lo said, this is the world. This is a world where social media rules a lot of things. And if something did happen to him, especially on live TV, it was going to be everywhere. And then Shannon was going to be
Everywhere.
blackballed, and all this other stuff, man. So that's why he didn't do it. But I believe that because Shannon Sharpe in his career, he had a lot of injuries. Collarbone injury, knee injuries, back injuries. He had a hip replacement, both hips replaced. Like so, Shannon Sharpe had a lot of injuries in his career, and he played a tough position. He played tight end
He played tight
yeah,
end
he played tight
in a
end
physical. It was way
in an
more physical
era,
now.
way more physical era than it is right now. So
Yeah.
him playing, I think he played for 12 seasons, I think. Him playing for 12, 13 seasons and making it to the Hall of Fame and winning 3 Super Bowls is amazing. But if Shannon Sharpe could play to 45 at tight end, he would play to 45. He would have played to 45 at tight end with no
Bro,
question. He
have
was
you
a
seen him?
beast.
Have you
Yes,
seen him?
bro.
He looked like he
Yes.
still could
He looked
play,
like he can
honestly.
still go. He looked like he can still go.
Yeah.
But even when he was on the field back in the in the 90s and the early 2000s, he was a beast on the football field.
Right.
Which is what got him his
Yeah.
3 Super Bowls, which was got him in the Hall of Fame because he was nice with it at tight end. He was
Right.
basically a swole ass receiver playing tight end. That's basically what he was. And
Well, that's exactly what he was. It ain't basically what he was. That's what he was. He played receiver at where'd he go? Mississippi Valley State, Savannah
Mississippi
State,
Valley State. Was it
Mississippi
Savannah
Valley
State?
State. He was a
I'm gonna look.
one of
I'm
the
gonna
two.
look.
It was one of the two. He went to HBCU. We know he went to HBCU.
Yeah, he went to HBCU. Yeah.
And speaking of which, shout out to your North Carolina Central Eagles who beat Jackson State in
For
the
sure.
Celebration
For
Bowl.
sure. HBCU national champions, baby. You feel me?
There you go. Hate that it was prom, but I'm glad it was somebody that we can recognize. But yeah, we know he went to a HBCU, and coming into the NFL when he was drafted, they put him at tight end. Like they tried him out at receiver for a little bit, but ultimately said, okay, can you play tight end for us? Savannah State.
For sure.
So he said, can you play tight end for us? He agreed, and the rest is history, as we know. So for Skip to say what he said, Skip, come on now, Skip.
Come on, Skip.
for Shannon, I keep saying Shannon. For Skip to say what he said about Shannon Sharpe and to belittle his career, his Hall of Fame career, it's two things with Shannon Sharpe that I'm surprised at. One, I'm surprised that he didn't come back with something personal of himself about Skip, because he was about to. He was like, "I'm back," and then he stopped. He stopped. I'm surprised he didn't. And then two, I'm also surprised he came to the show the next day. I would have made Skip ass do that show by himself the next day and apologize to me because, like, I mean, listen, and that might be childish. That might be childish, but
he deserves an apology for that for sure, though.
He does, and Skip has apologized, but it really wasn't an apology. Basically, he just said, "Brothers fight. This is what happens in the debate genre, the debate talk show genre. Let's move on." He also took a shot at somebody else, a personal shot in his apology. If you think that's an apology, I don't think it was an apology.
I don't think it was. I'm
If
sorry, or I apologize did not come out his mouth.
Yeah.
So,
if Kyrie's statement after his anti-Semitic statements or tweet was not an apology, Skip's was not an apology by any means. But he did take a shot at Stephen A as well. It was unnoticed, but it was a subtle shot because he said Shannon is by far his toughest opponent in the debate. So I wonder how Stephen.
You know what? I heard that, but I didn't take it the way you did. But I can see what you mean by that, brother.
Yeah.
I can see what you mean by that.
I wonder if Stephen A took that as a shot to him, because I think it definitely was a shot.
I think it was too, because he spent 10 years on First Take with Stephen A.
Right.
And then went to Fox Sports and went to Undisputed. So I can see that as a shot to Stephen A. But I don't think Stephen A. I haven't seen anything about Stephen A. actually coming back and saying anything about that comment. And I honestly don't even. Well, he probably does because he's in the sports world. But I was going to say I don't even think Stephen A. really watches the show much, to be honest. And but somebody done texted him. Somebody done hit him up. You heard what Skip said? Skip done said that Shannon Sharpe is toughest opponent at the debate table. What you think about that? But you know how people talk. But I mean,
on fire.
Internet always on fire. But I mean, honestly, it was disrespectful, bro. It was definitely disrespectful. The lengths that Skip will go to just to defend Tom Brady.
A
To
person he doesn't
take
know.
a person you sure you don't know him?
He said it in his apology. I have never met Tom Brady. I
Okay,
don't even
there
know
you
him.
go. There you go. There you go.
But because of his greatness as the NFL quarterback, well, he said because I consider him the GOAT of football, to which
Hmm.
Shannon Sharpe does not think he's the GOAT. He says he's the greatest quarterback, and I may concede that, but I defend Tom Brady because of the fact that he is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Well, damn. Well, the point, the lengths that Skip would go to disrespect his friend and his co-host on national TV is
Hmm.
wild, bro. Is freaking
Yep.
wild, bro. I don't. It caught me by surprise because I mean, what's funny is I literally I listened to that show on the way to work, and I kind of look at YouTube videos throughout the day, and I missed that one. I'm glad you sent it to me. And I missed that one earlier in the week, but I was like, damn, why would you say something like that to your boy? Like I would never say nothing like that to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me and you co-hosted this
Exactly.
show. I would never come out and say something like, but see, me and you got a decade and a half friendship. And you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We had that kind of relationship where we respect each other. We would never could say anything personal. But damn, like he's probably known of, or at least known Shannon Sharpe for probably a decade now. And you come
Right.
out and say something like that about your boy and his career, that's crazy.
But that just shows you where Skip feels, to me, in my opinion, that it shows
Mhm.
you to where how Skip feels about their relationship of who he is in comparison to Shannon Sharpe. And so
I
that
agree with
leads me
that.
to a question that I think the majority of the journalists who did it the hard way, I think they have an issue. Well, just let me ask the question first before I say what I say. Do
Mhm.
you think that all the journalists that did it the hard way, do you think that they feel some type of way to these former players coming into the journalist industry and making big waves, and they feel like some type of resentment because it is quote unquote easy for them right now to get on TV or to put a podcast out like we're doing, and
Mhm.
instantly they have tons of people listening to them and
Right.
enjoying their content on a day in day out basis? Do you think like they have some type of resentment?
I think they do. I think the ones that actually had to grind and go to school for journalism and actually go through the internship route and get your first job and then try to make waves and try to make connections with the NFL network or Fox or ESPN or however they get to it. I think the ones that had to walk that road do see an issue with a lot of the Sam Achos and the Shannon Sharps of the world and the I'm saying those guys
Draymond
who
Green, JJ
the
Redick.
Draymond Green, JJ Redick to the world, who your Jay Wills and all of these guys who have their own
Mhm.
shows on ESPN now, but all they had to do was be a good athlete, have a pretty good career, and then you can come in, you can be a journalist now and talk about sports. I think they do have a little bit of a animosity towards them guys. I do believe that. I
Mhm.
do believe that. But
I completely agree with that
yeah.
because, you know, as much as I talk about social media, and I mean, I do like social media and the internet, obviously, but there is a negative side to it. So, as much as I talk about the downside of social media, this
Hmm.
part of social media is the great part of it. It is a great equalizer. It does give
Hmm.
people that normally wouldn't have access to a particular industry, it gives them access to it and to make their own lanes and to do the things that they're able to do. It just so
Agreed.
happens that, I mean, it's always been, you know, prior to this streaming age, prior to all of these networks, all of these industries, or um, professional leagues having their own networks. It's always been once a good player finishes playing, he comes in. He's an analyst. A la Troy
Hmm.
Aikman's been a broadcast analyst for quite some time.
Hmm.
You've had, I mean, I can name
Greg
quite a. I can't.
Greg Olson is now on TV
Greg
doing play
Olson,
by
right?
being the color man for and play by play for Fox now. So yeah.
Right. It's just natural, but now that you have social media that fans can connect with their idols or people that they are fans to in the
Hmm.
sport respective sports, when they come into commentary, it's a natural, oh, oh, Draymond Green. I mean, I'm not a true fan of Draymond Green,
Right,
but
right, right.
Draymond Green is doing a podcast. Let me go listen to it, and it's instant credibility because if he's talking about basketball, it has some credibility to what he's saying because he
Mhm.
actually plays it
He
and
actually
still playing
plays.
it on a day in and day out basis. And
Right.
so for people like Skip, people like Stephen A, who, and a list of others who didn't play at a professional level, but they're giving takes on what they think is going on or little
Mhm.
inside info from people that they have connections with. Well, we're hearing it directly from the horse's mouth now. And I think they have an issue with that because, as Draymond says, this is the new media. No longer are you going
Mhm.
to take personal attacks at people. If you're talking about the game, that's great. But if you're talking, you're going on the personal side, that's out of bounds, and we don't do that. And so I think like
Exactly.
now it's okay. Let me rein this in and put these people in their place.
I believe that too. I believe that too. I think just my final wisdom on this is that Skip is 100% wrong. And Skip, at the end of the day, that's your boy. If Skip, if this get to you some kind of way, my brother, Unc is your boy, man. He been your co-host and your friend for the past 6 years, bro. You don't attack a man's character and career like that just because you want to defend somebody who you think is the greatest of all time because of the things that they've done on the football field. It's cool to have your favorites and it's cool to be a fan, but to attack your boy is retarded, bro. It's crazy. I don't mean to say retarded. My fault. I ain't calling you retarded. Just what you did
Hmm.
was kind of retarded.
Hmm.
But he definitely does. He definitely deserves a formal apology, not the bullshit that he gave him. And I agree with you,
Hmm.
D-Lo. If that was me, I would not have came the next day. You doing this show by yourself, player. You're doing the show by
Right. He
yourself
would have
until you
definitely.
hit me up. You got to call me and tell me, hey, you know what, bro? I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry, bro. I shouldn't have said what I said. I do value your career. Whatever he got to say to, make come back to that show, he would have had to say that to me because he
Right.
bugged out. He definitely bugged out.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that statement 100%. I think he let that argument get the best of him.
He
And
did.
in the fact that it got the best of him, he said something that I would hope he regrets saying, but as of right now, it doesn't seem that way. He hasn't issued any like official apology. If we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the semantics of words, he hasn't said I apologize. He's issued something that seems like an apology, but it actually has not been. I'm sorry for what I said to Shannon Sharpe. He is a Hall of Famer. His career was valuable, and I do think he's a great person, a great analyst, and as well as a great football player. Whether he still believes Tom Brady is better than Shannon Sharpe,
Right.
whatever, that's longevity awards goes to Tom Brady for sure.
For sure.
But I think Skip does in fact owe Shannon Sharpe an apology. And hopefully he'll get it. I don't it doesn't seem like Shannon's too concerned with it. He's a bigger
Nah.
person than I am for sure. But
For sure.
uh but yeah, and he needs to Skip needs to fix it. Um and so they can move on because I think it will hurt the show moving forward.
I think it will too. I think it will too. I agree with you on that.
Life is hard. No matter what level you're on, no matter if you're the poorest person in the world, the richest person in the world, the most loved person in the world, or not loved at all, the most accomplished person in the world, or not accomplished at all. Every phase of your life, no matter what phase you are, as I just mentioned, you're going to have pockets where it's difficult. life is hard. No matter what level you're on, no matter if you're the poorest person in the world, the richest person in the world, the most loved person in the world, or not loved at all, the most accomplished person in the world, or not accomplished at all. Every phase of your life, no matter what phase you are, as I just mentioned, you're going to have pockets where it's difficult.